Hey guys, Colin Neal again, aka the Musket Man, and I am back for episode 11 of Gun Table Talk. Guys, sorry I didn't have an episode the last couple weeks. Got caught up with Christmas and family and friends and just didn't really have the time on the weekends or anything to get another episode going. But I had some time right before the New Year's to do another episode before the week's out, so I thought, why not? Let's get another episode going. So anyway, guys, as you can see, I don't have any guns here. We're actually going to be talking about cappers. So thanks for joining me, guys. This is Gun Table Talk. All right, guys. So, like I just said real quick, I'm actually not going to be talking about a gun today. I'm going to be talking about some accessories for not only cap and ball revolvers, but for rifles, some smoothbores, shotguns, double barrel rifles, and even double barrel shotguns. And that is simply cappers. If you're going to get into the black powder world, especially if it's got percussion caps, involved, you want to get yourself some cappers of some kind, especially if you're doing rifles. That's when it gets a little tricky. So guys, if you're new to the firearm world, the black powder firearm world, I've discussed in previous episodes mainly about cap and ball revolvers, about certain stuff you do, certain stuff you don't do. But I really haven't gone over any accessories yet of what you might need for also other guns as well. So on black powder, when it comes to percussion guns, you need a good set of cappers. Because if you don't, you usually have to do it the old-fashioned way. You got to carry them in a pocket or something, pull them out one by one, or they come in the little tin cans. You got to reach in there with your fingernails and grab one, pinch it, then put it on the gun, then shoot. Which works. There's no problem with that. But that does get a little boring and a little tedious, and that's where the cappers come in to kind of save you some time and save you some stress when you're out on the range especially, or if you're hunting where you really want them. So guys, let's say you got a muzzle-loading rifle of some kind, some brand, and it's a side lock that takes a percussion cap, the little small ones. Those are fun. I think that's a great starting rifle to begin with. Well, you can naturally, like I said, take it out, pinch one, put one on. Problem is, what if you're in the field or you're hunting? That's very difficult to do. So typically, cappers come in all different sizes. There's some small ones, medium and large ones. There's fat ones for muskets, smoothbore and rifle. There's some that are specifically built for revolvers. So anyway, let's just go over something real basic for the rifles. So let's say you're going hunting, blah, blah, blah. You shoot at a feral hawk and you miss. Well, now you got to reload because you got another chance. But now you've got the gun all loaded up. Now you're trying to reach in and try to get one little cap. That's hard. You might drop it. Then you're frustrated, mad. That's really hard. That can be hard. So one of the simplest caps is this little skinny one. And they're typically made of brass. And that's because that won't chance any spark when you're shooting your black powder guns, because naturally you don't want to spark if you're loading from the muzzle with loose powder for obvious reasons. So as you can see, it's just like a really long, toothpick, you could say. And these will hold number 10 or number 11 caps, either one. It's made for both. So this little design, if you can see, if the camera will focus, it is spring loaded. If you can see that spring back there, so that little punch right here, as you can see, spring loaded, it'll go to the top. So to load this, in the back, there's a little breech. So as you can see, when it's all the way empty, the lever kind of covers it up. So what you do is you simply just bring it back and you start loading all your caps. I believe this one holds about 10 or 12. Could be wrong, but I think that's about how much it holds. And you go till it's completely full, and that spring will help keep that closed up. That way it doesn't come open and you're losing caps. So that's main reason for the spring there. So once you got it all loaded, when you need to get a cap, man, come on, focus camera. You got the little end here. As you can see, it's a little steel piece, like a tooth, that'll hold your cap. And I apologize for the camera. If for some reason it's not zooming in. I'm sorry, my head is so big. But as you can see, it's kind of bent up. So when you got a fully loaded capper, you'll push this up, which will engage a cap into this little tooth and will hold it very tight because it's bent into it. Now, once you've got a cap, all you do is simply put it onto a nipple, push it down till the cap seats, and you pull it, and what that little tooth is supposed to do is kind of crimp that cap onto your nipple, to where it won't fall off if you're tromping through the woods or whatever. So that's how that works. And as you keep going, you know, you'll get less and less because you're shooting. You just simply keep pushing it up and up and up and up till you run out. Then you just simply back it off, reload about 10 or 12 more. So very simple. So these come in handy for the rifles and shotguns, especially if you're going to be hunting in the field with them or doing something, you know, even if you're just target shooting, it's handy and it increases your reload speed. So I also have another one here that is almost identical. I actually don't know who made this one. I got this from a gentleman that sadly gave up his black powder hobby, and I bought some supplies for him, and this is what he had. So this is an older one, very similar, except the back, it's got a little back plate that also flexes, and I'm sorry about this camera, will also flex, so it gives you a little bit more wiggle room with the cap. But same concept, it is spring-loaded, except this one you load from the front, not the bottom, so that's a little different. And same deal, it's got a little tooth that's kind of bent up to grab it, except this is one giant part that's on the capper. But it's the same concept, this one's just a little bit older. Same deal, push it up, cap comes out, put it on a nipple, click it, and you should be ready to rock. So, there's those. Those are the simple ones you can find. Typically, even nowadays, most stores are going to have them if that's what you're looking for. And I recommend you get one if you got the rifles or shotguns. It definitely comes in handy if you need something like that. Now, some of you may have noticed already this massive one right here. This one, same concept, but, and it's even got a cap in there, so I'll be able to use this as an example. Same deal, but this one is for military muskets or rifles, you know, military muskets or rifled muskets or some other brands that shoot the musket caps. So this is the same concept, spring-loaded, except you load the cap from the side. And as you can see, that's a big opening because there's a major difference between musket caps and your standard CCI and Remington number 10 and 11s, a major difference. Civil War time and before and a little bit after, that's the size caps they were using for their guns. So this is one for my 1855 Springfield rifled musket. Now, I know what some of you fuds out there are saying, that's not historically accurate. They had a pouch that they would grab with their offhand, I know, trust me, I know. But for, I guess, recreational purposes, target shooting or hunting, if you're going to be using that style of weapon, these, again, come in handy. And it holds, I believe, 10. I believe this one holds 10. And same deal, it's got a little tooth that's a little kind of spring-loaded that will come out, put it on the nipple. But as you can see, same deal. See the cap move all the way to the end, and it clicks into place just like that. You find your nipple. See, that one fell out, but you kind of put it on your nipple and pull it. So that tooth probably needs to be some adjusting, but as you can see, look how big that cap is. If you know, I mean, these are massive, you know. So, and that's a Schutzen cap, which is one of the best on the market, I think, in my opinion. And as you can see, bring it back. Let's see if I can do it. Oh, it's hard to do on camera. See the side open? Simply place the cap in, load it up. That easy. So there's nothing wrong with that. Oh, got a little stuck. There we go. So it came in real easy. As you can see, cap's back in there. You just load it up the same when you run out. So for target shooting, hunting, if you're using those type of guns, those come in handy. So you may be wondering also why I've got a Remington New Model Army cylinder here. I will get to that in a second. So the last capper. Now there is some other cappers out there. I think there's a Swedish capper and some others. I don't have this. So this is my Ted Cash capper. As you can see, it's a big difference to these little skinny toothpick ones. Except this one is made for cap and ball revolvers, as goes its shape, because a revolver, you have to cap it from the right side. That is why it's shaped like this, so you can kind of go around the back of the cylinder each time. A lot easier than with these. Now this one is not that complicated. In fact, it's a lot easier. You simply, to put caps in it, you kind of just open up this lever and it pops off. Just very simple. And it's got a little lever that holds it. Now you can see I've already got caps in there. It's got a very long tooth that accepts the caps when you grab them. So that's very easy to load. I believe this holds about 100 caps, which is a lot. So you can shoot all day long. If you got 2 of these, you'll be shooting no problem. So to engage this one, as you can see, no cap. But if I press this lever down, oh, come on, and then I lean it over with gravity, a cap comes out. Now let's say you didn't want to use that cap. You can simply press the lever, Oh, sorry, that one fell out. But usually it will fall back in. So that is how you typically do it with your cap and ball revolvers. So this is a lot easier. Now, you can use this for the rifles and shotguns as well. It's not that it's just made for the revolvers, but you can use this also for the rifles and shotguns, but its particular use is the revolvers. Now, before I run out of time, these long skinny ones, if you're using these on cap and ball revolvers, they don't particularly work well with the cap and ball revolvers. And the reason is the little metal tooth on there is not strong enough to truly crimp that cap around the nipple. With rifles and shotguns, it's a little different. It's a longer nipple. It goes down. You have gravity helping you. You don't have that with the revolvers. So that's kind of why they came up with this one. So you can technically use this, try to cap it. It will cap onto a cap and ball revolver, but odds are your cap is going to fall off the nipple, and you don't want that. That can be a bad day, or you're just going to have caps flying off your gun, and then you're going to be frustrated, and nobody's happy. So these, the Ted Cash Capper. Now, automatically, yes, I said this is for revolvers, but there are some models that this particular capper doesn't work very well with. For example, the 1851 Navy and the 1860 Army. This thing works great. It will put those caps on there where they will not fall off. And I forgot to add, it will hold the number 10s and number 11s, both of them, from any company. So for those two model pistols, this works great. It has worked flawless. Guns it hasn't worked on. I tried it on my Walker before I got my slick shot nipples. I could not get it on there to work right. Rogers and Spencer, believe it or not, I tried it and the caps were falling off. Now, before I go any further, this is where this type of capper comes into play. So when you're cap and ball revolvers, like I've said in the past, you got to find the right cap that works for the nipple that you've got on the gun. Once you find the right brand that you like and the size that you like, that's what you put in this capper for that particular gun. So, because you might have an oversized nipple and you're trying to use some number 10s and they're not fitting right. Well, naturally, it's not going to work. Or you might have some undersized nipples and you're using the number 11s and the nipples are just the caps are just falling off the nipples. So you got to figure out what works best for you on your particular gun on those nipples. Once you figure that out, which caps work best for that gun, that's what you load into this. Now, like I've said, the Walker, I couldn't get it to work. Now, there's a video with Mike Bellevue in his YouTube channel, Duelist 1954. He got the Ted Cash Capper to work on his Walker. So I don't know, did he switch out his nipples? What was he doing? So I got to go back and test out some stuff to figure out what works best with this. Now, a gun that's not going to particularly work well with this. That is why I brought the Remington New Model Army cylinder out. As you can see, and we've discussed this in last episodes, and you know, that little tunnel there, you can see the nipples exposed. But what's the problem here? See a problem? Because of these two edges, and I'm sorry for the camera, you cannot get the Ted Cash Capper into this back of this cylinder. So you're going to have to do it by hand. Now, I just mentioned Mike Bellevue. He has a video out there where he took the same cylinder, same company. He got a die grinder and he just rounded those edges to accept the Ted Cash Capper, and it worked perfectly. So if you want to do that for this particular model, and other models may vary, just getting that out there, you may have to do a little bit of gunsmithing work or send it to a gunsmith to figure that out. So it just depends on what model gun you have, what size caps are using, what brand of caps are using, and what size nipples you're using on your gun. Are they slick shot? Are they factory nipples? It just all depends. But I cannot recommend this one enough for cap and ball revolvers. It will speed up your reload time, and it makes it a lot easier on your fingers trying to pinch them and put it on those nipples. So highly recommend this. If you find one, recommend you get it. Well, anyway, guys, I'm about to run out of time here. Thanks for joining me in another episode of Gun Table Talk. And remember, keep your powder dry. I'm the Musket Man, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later, guys.